What's good, guys and girls? You seen the title and thumbnail. Now let's see what led Spider-Man to dislocate Wolverine's jaw. Let's get into it. To start off issue 1, we find Wolverine tearing through a group of what appeared to be Hydra bots in underground stores of Berlin, Germany. He was contacted by an old acquaintance named Bill Branscombe, a seasoned spy Logan hasn't spoken to in years. Bill wanted Logan to meet him at the Hydra remnant safe house he's currently at, claiming there's something big going down. After they meet, Bill asks Logan if he's ever heard of the Janus Directory, and Logan says he has. For those of you who don't know, the Janus Directory is an old master database, a top-secret archive containing the identities and missions of double agents from both the past and present. At first, Wolverine thought the Janus Directory was just a myth, but Bill tells him it's as real as the hype when the Popeye chicken sandwich first dropped, and people were willing to wait in those long-ass lines for hours. Apparently, S.H.I.E.L.D. acquired it a while ago, but ever since the agency disbanded, the database has become as dangerous as a loose nuke. If it falls into the wrong hands, the consequences could be catastrophic. We're talking full access and exposure of highly classified missions, along with the private lives of retired and active agents, lives that could be ruined or worse overnight. Logan looks over at an agent who now has a kid and decides it's time to give some backup for this mission. We then jump to a week later. Spider-Man is swinging through the city and, like always, he's late for something. This time it's a date with a girl named Shay Markin. By the time he gets there, Shay remarks that he's even later than usual. Peter's been so late so many times, she started calling it Parker time. Shay also thinks she's figured out why Peter's life is so chaotic. She believes this stems from his childhood and the parents he never talks about. Peter responds with the truth about his parents, but it goes right over her head. Shay thinks he's just joking. Peter's spider sense suddenly goes off as Logan tosses him a helmet, telling him to get on the bike. They need to move. Peter quickly comes up with an excuse, telling Shay that Logan is an old co-worker of his. Once again, he bails in the middle of their date, leaving Shay visibly pissed off. Geez, that's so bad. I don't know why Peter keeps doing this to himself when it comes to juggling his dating life with his responsibilities as Spider-Man. Maybe he should just take a break from dating, just for a little while. Later that night, Spider-Man and Wolverine descend onto an abandoned S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier where the Janus Directory is located. Spider-Man asks Wolverine why he picked him to hack through a S.H.I.E.L.D. level encryption. Wolverine responds simply saying that Peter's a dork, and Peter reacts with, "Yeah, you got a point." Honestly, that should have been a no-brainer considering all the achievements he's got under his belt, like outsmarting Doc Ock multiple times, designing the ends of the Earth suit to take on the Sinister Six, and earning the respect of two of Marvel's smartest minds, Reed Richards and Tony Stark. If Peter had more structure in his life and wasn't so unorganized, I truly believe he could give Reed and Tony a run for their money in terms of intelligence. Spider-Man's spider sense only flares, he flips out of the way just in time, and whatever was aimed at him ends up slamming into Wolverine instead. Before either can regroup, Omega Red and Kraven leap into the scene, clearly after the Janus Directory too. Realizing it's about to be a 2-on-2, Spider-Man quickly proposes they split the fight. He'll take Omega Red and Wolverine can handle Kraven, just to keep things interesting and spicy. While dodging Omega Red's tendrils, Spider-Man finds the perfect moment mid-fight to say Wolverine's catchphrase, "I'm the best there is at what I do, but what I do best." "Shut up," Wolverine glances back. He cuts Spider-Man off before he can finish the catchphrase. And when I read that, all I could hear was the Insomniac Spider-Man saying it in his Spider-Cop voice, which somehow it makes it 10 times funnier and 10 times better. Omega Red, thinking that Spider-Man and Wolverine are friends, tells Spider-Man that Wolverine offed them and left them for dead. Spider-Man tries to ease the tension by saying, "Would it help if he doesn't think of us as friends?" Omega Red uses one of his tendrils to wrap around Spider-Man's neck. Spider-Man, having a hard time speaking, says, "So you're saying it wouldn't help?" This next panel where Wolverine is fighting Kraven is a bit interesting. Wolverine didn't expect and know Kraven will work with Omega Red, making him think this is more than the two of them working together just to get the directory. Then we cut right back into the fight between Omega Red and Spider-Man. Omega Red calls Spider-Man pathetic and desperate, disappointed that this is who Kraven hyped up as a formidable opponent. Spider-Man proves Kraven right and takes Omega Red down without breaking a sweat. He slingshots himself forward and kicks Omega Red with just enough force to send him crashing through a wall. Spider-Man quips, "I can be formidable when I want to." Omega Red better put some respect on Spider-Man's reputation from now on after that kick. Meanwhile, Wolverine's battle with Kraven escalates fast. Kraven pulls out a freaking rocket launcher and shoots a rocket at Wolverine. Wolverine quickly reacts, deflecting it just enough to redirect the blast. The explosion sends debris flying, and in seconds Wolverine is buried. It gets harder and harder for him to fight through the wreckage until he suddenly feels something. Wood. Then it hits him. He's been buried alive, in a coffin. He claws his way out, and yeah, this is exactly what you think it is. In the following pages, something shifts. Whether it's a psychic trap, magical effect, or something stranger, Spider-Man and Wolverine begin reliving each other's traumatic experiences. Wolverine is pulled into the world of Kraven's last hunt, buried alive in the dark, suffocating silence, until he claws his way free. Then suddenly he's standing on the George Washington Bridge, watching his love fall. But this time it's not Gwen, it's Mariko. For Spider-Man, the nightmare is just as intense. He finds himself himself trapped in the Weapon X program, stripped of his humanity and overwhelmed with primal rage. He feels animalistic, feral, and he's locked in combat with the samurai. Most likely from his time in Japan. I'm not entirely sure who it's meant to be. If anyone knows for sure, feel free to call it out in the comments. Then Peter suddenly experiences the moment when Magneto ripped the adamantium straight out of Logan's body. The pain, the helplessness. Still one of the most intense things that happened to Wolverine to this day. And finally, we see Peter relive the death of Wolverine's storyline. His entire body encased or smothered in molten adamantium. If I remember right, that story dropped over 7 years ago, so that was a long time ago already. Shit. This is really cool though, but it's obvious Mysterio's behind this. Both heroes soon overcome their traumas and beat the illusions. Spider-Man asks Wolverine if he smells a blend of spring mist with a bit of desperation mixed in. When Wolverine says he does, Spider-Man tells them to keep both Omega Red and Kraven busy while he swings to the bridge of the helicarrier. What he finds is Mysterio, back to his old ways. Spider-Man thought Quinn and Beck had quit being Mysterio, but Beck tells him he tried, until he was presented with an offer he couldn't refuse. Spider-Man admits he's disappointed, then knocks Beck out with a single punch, and gets to work hacking through the encryptions to access the Janus Directory. After he gets access, he comes across the names of his parents, Richard and Mary Parker. He tells himself that he doesn't have enough time, but he watches old recordings of them anyways. He goes through all the files about them since he barely knows anything about their lives as spies, especially how they died. He takes a look at the last recording of them piloting a jet, and is shocked to see Wolverine in the jet with them. Richard Parker wonders what Logan is doing on the plane with them, and Logan responds with "my job." Then the panel cuts to Wolverine alone, as Omega Red and Kraven leave, having been overwhelmed by his will to fight. Spider-Man suddenly bursts through the wall behind Wolverine, kicking him in the back. Spider-Man stands over Wolverine, telling him that he's gonna off him, ending off issue 1 with a major cliffhanger. Now let's move on to issue 2. Issue 2 starts off where we left off. Spider-Man isn't playing around. It says Wolverine is incredibly durable with his healing factor. Peter isn't pulling his punches. Wolverine tries to reason with them, but Peter isn't hearing it. As they fight, panels flash between their blows, and footage from the recording of Richard and Mary Parker's final moments. It looks like Logan didn't use his claws, but he's seen holding some kind of trigger in his hand, and an explosion goes off next to him in the jet, forcing it to go down. During the fight, Wolverine tries to tell Spider-Man that they can't trust anything, especially after the mind games they endured in the last issue, but Peter cuts him off, yelling "shut up." He tells him it was a recording straight from the Janus Directory. It wasn't an illusion because Mysterio was knocked out the whole time. Spider-Man accuses Wolverine of sabotaging the plane. The recording cuts out right after Richard and Mary say their last words to each other. On the next page, we see Peter looking through old photos of Logan from the time he worked on the Red Skull. Peter had always known Red Skull ordered the hit on his parents, but he never knew Logan was working for him too. The realization sends Peter into a state of balanced rage. Back in the present, Logan confirms that he did work for Red Skull, but only as a double agent. Peter tells Logan that the database lists every undercover agent, except for him. He points out that Logan could easily survive a plane crash with his healing factor. Logan responds by saying he can't rely on his memories from that time period, but he knows he did some things he's not proud of. Peter doesn't want to hear any more of it. To him, what he saw was real. Then, in a flash, he punches Wolverine so hard that his jaw gets dislocated. And let's not forget, that's an adamantium jaw Peter just rocked with one hit. For those of you who think Spider-Man isn't that strong, think again. And if that wasn't enough, Wolverine gets launched into a nearby fuel tank from the punch, causing it to explode. He gets back up, standing within the fire, jaw hanging loose, eyes burning with fury, claws out, fully in berserker mode. It looks like a nightmare. Spider-Man shoots his webs at Wolverine as fast as he can, but it does nothing to him. Spider-Man tries to dodge a full berserker rage Wolverine coming at him, but he fails, and Logan wails at him with his claws. He throws Peter around as the fight gets more brutal between the two heroes. Both of their suits are torn to shreds and messed up. Okay, let's leave the context of the situation to the side. I just love the art in this fight, and seeing a pissed off Spider-Man go up against a berserker mode Wolverine in this art style. It's just so peak for me. Wolverine finally calms down and comes back to his senses, telling Peter to wait and listen to him. He tries to make him see that this whole situation just seems fishy. It wasn't a coincidence that Peter found the video. Someone wanted him to find it so they could start some beef between him and Logan. He tells Peter not to play into the hands of whoever is really behind this, but Peter fires back, demanding Logan try and convince him that he wasn't the one responsible for his parents' deaths. Wolverine tries to recall, though his memory is still far from reliable, but he remembers a plane, a married couple, and a crash. That's all Peter needs to hear. Fueled by rage, he webs Logan up and unleashes a flurry of punches, each hit landing harder than the last. Driven by pain, betrayal, and years of unresolved grief, Wolverine finally has enough. He breaks free, and in the final page of issue 2, we see him drive his claws straight through Spider-Man's gut, ending the issue on a brutal, gut-wrenching cliffhanger. Alright, the story so far isn't bad, but most likely Logan didn't off Peter's parents. I can't see that happening since I'm assuming this takes place on Earth 616. It has to be some form of manipulation that we don't know yet. And though it seems brutal, I think Logan had to do what he did just to stop Peter for a moment so they can calm down and see what's really going on. Can't wait to see what's in store for issue 3 though. But besides all that, if you're entertained, that was educational, like what I said, or all the above, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment, and turn on post notifications, especially if you're a new viewer. If you want to support the channel even more, I'll link you down in the description box below. And I'll talk to you guys and girls later. Peace.